Ha ha. Okay, sorry for the wait. Welcome everybody. Good morning, and good evening for wherever you are. Welcome to the Border. That is the title we are going with today. It's a shorter one. I don't know if it's gonna be a double chapter or a single one. We will see. We will see. Last time, Vice got aroused as a new Pokemon, and RWBY already has a Zubat. We know Blake is being followed by a Ghastly, who is actually helping them with a little bit of teasing at the same time. We don't know what Yang is gonna get. I kinda hope for a Blaziken or something like that, but that would be too strong. But that would fit for her. Or maybe a Hitmonchan for that. Or Hitmonlee, who knows? But I definitely see a fighting type for Yang. Or it can be just a dog. Just to tease Blake. As I was said. But it is time to continue reading Boldores and Boomsticks. Links are down below in the description. And I guess let's just continue. I don't see any one of you being here, but this video can be reseen. You might come in between as well. We will see. Let's just see. Maybe this one. Sure. Chapter 14. The word. Rhodes, now Whisper now, fell. She tumbled through the air at the mercy of gravity, wind whipping at her mop of green hair, as the unforgiving ground grew ever closer. Suddenly, Salvation appeared in the form of two slim arms, reaching out and safely catching the plummeting fairy type, holding her close and ensuring her safety. Whisper giggled like a mad and parted again. Watching from a rose-like bench a few yards away, Yang smiled as Vice and Whisper played, the tiny Pokemon teleporting a few feet straight up and falling into her big sister's hands over and over again. That's the cutest thing I've ever seen, and I grew up with RWBY and Zwei. Blake absently hummed in agreement. She was sitting next to Yang on the bench, looking through one of the guides she had acquired in Golden Valley. This one was about the different elemental types of Pokemon in greater detail than the pamphlets she had been reading before. Ah, welcome Ilya. Welcome. I didn't know if anyone was here, because I'm not looking at numbers. I constantly just hide the numbers that are being shown on YouTube, so I can only see myself, and I can see this spot right here, so I can actually say that, okay, this is still on screen, you can still see it, because actually it's not the same type. I can see much lower than this. As you can see, my mouse keeps going, and now I reach the end of the screen. So yeah, I have to be careful not to make too much movement, or not to read too low. RWBY was perched in the branches of a tree behind them, contemplating Zubat, who was dangling from another branch in front of her. She had been trying to think of a proper name for her friend since they had left the nursery, with questionable results. Okay, I'm not sure why I thought Bruce was a good idea. What about Alucard? No, that's how I use. It was nice to actually get a chance to sit down peacefully between being lost, the grim, existential panic, being lost, ghost, being lost, storms, thieves, and being fucking lost. It seems like weeks since they had a chance to just relax without immediate concerns. They had found a good time and place for it as well. The storm had passed, and it was an idyllic summer afternoon on the outskirts of Exeter. They were occupying a well-tended rest area, just off the side of the trail, with an orderly scattering of picnic tables and munchies, as well as a small building with the public bathrooms and some vending machines. Eventually, the 3 other members of the team heard their leader shout, "Alright, that's it!" and hopped down from the tree with a wide smile. And, well, okay, just ladies, introducing Nocturne! Oh, how much you don't know, RWBY. Oh, go, Nocturne! And then Zubat flies out. That would... Oh, Nox, when you wanna be informal, but he's good with that too. Zubat, or Nox, apparently hovered down next to her, his smile as broad as his trainers. He didn't really get why RWBY felt the name was so necessary, but he was proud that she gave him one, since it was clearly important to her. "Yay, Mr. Nox!" whispered she telepathically. Even in the few hours since they left Shabby Ranch, she had gotten more vocal. The tiny voice that tickled the back of the mind, now much more clear. She teleported again, but instead of appearing up in the air, this time she was down on the ground, running around in the grass like the child she was. Whee! Blake smiled, closing her book for a moment. "Are you having second thoughts about the name you chose for advice? She started out a bit of a register box after all." "No way," Yang interjected. "It's a perfect name for her, just like calling Yasuashi Tiny." True. When you name someone the exact opposite of what they are, then it's gonna make so much more fun. Ignoring the blonde, Vice sat down on the next bench over, as she watched Whisper play. "I have no intent to change it, if that's what you mean, Blake." RWBY plopped down next to her partner. Nox perched atop her head. "So what you reading, Blake? Anything neat?" Blake turned the book to show the cover, which displays 18 colored circles arranged to make a larger circle. Ha! That's actually one of the cities in the new game. Each had different symbol, and RWBY could see even from the distance that one was reddish brown with a stylized fist, just like the flyer from Golden Fist Tournament had displayed. "It's about the elemental types we keep hearing about. I was getting tired of getting caught off guard by things. It's fascinating, but still a bit confusing. I keep getting thrown off by concepts that doesn't bother to explain. I guess it assumes everyone already knows them." "I'm a psychic type," Whisper volunteered proudly, waving a long stick she had found over her head. She did found the stick! Blake smiled warmly at the little being, enjoying her recent exuberance. "Yes, you are," she agreed. There was a faint pop and pink flash, and suddenly Braz was standing in Blake's lap. She giggled at the surprise bonus and said, "Watch, I'm a big psychic." She put her hand on the side of Blake's head and scrunched up her face in concentration. For Blake's part, she didn't resist, finding Shy's antics too adorable. "Yeah, feeling hungry," Blake chuckled and shared a grin with the Yang. "That's very good, Whisper. I am feeling kind of... You would be okay with trail rations, but you really hope we could get out of the mountains and go somewhere on the coast, cause they will know how to do seafood right. The tuna salad back at the town was kinda bleh." Now it is actually psychic. Blake stared at her, a bit shocked. Yes, that's right. Very well done. Yay, I'm a psychic! Beaming, Vice plucked her Pokemon from the teammate's lap and hugged her close. You're the best and cutest psychic ever. Yay, I'm a cute! Whisper happily waved her stick. The one she found in the grass. Now I wanna actually give her the I really want to give her the Tammy voice. If you know Undertale. Yeah, I think her voice pattern is kinda close to that. But I'm not gonna do that. Rice had to tilt her head back to avoid one of the little fairy's more exuberant swings. Be more careful with that, Whisper. In fact, put it down. You know why it's... do you know why it's been? And with that command, I shed tears. Huh? Yeah. Whisper pouted. One on the ground. Well, yes, but before that. On a tree. That is true. Casting half-hearted glare at the snickering teammates, Rice changed tactics. Why do you wanna stick anyway? It's a sword! A sword? Like you! Whisper pointed her stick down at Mr. Neister, hanging off Rice's hip. She turned in her trainer's arms and jabbed the stick forward with enthusiasm. Yeah! Gonna fight like you! Watching this, RWBY made a squealing noise that would not normally be associated with the human throat, and suddenly appeared before Rice in a cloud of rose petals. Eee! Rice, that would be so cute! Let me make it, please! I can make her tiny little rapier, and I will have the dust chambers, or make a... maybe I can fit in a 22 caliper. And... oh wait, I just remember I don't have a forger tools handy. Also, you're giving me that look again, so never mind. When does she breed? Blake muttered. Nah, spent 15 years trying to figure that out, no luck yet. Young answered. Rice just closed her eyes and heaved a put upon her sigh. Can we just go back to what Blake was talking about? It was probably a good idea to familiarize ourselves with things more thoroughly. Especially since we now have two locals with us. Blake felt a bit bemused that attention was returned to her. It wasn't particularly common for her to be the one doing the talking. Still, she was the one who had been reading the book. Alright. I haven't gotten very far yet, but the first few chapters are mostly summarizing the basics. Apparently Pokemon come in 18 different elemental types, including the non-elemental or normal ones. And a lot of reading later. Oops, that's actually a... strange music. Sure, railway station, good work. I literally don't know any of these music. This is from Pokemon Sword and Shield. Team RWBY sat back, considering the information Blake had summarized for them. So they can have up to 2 types. RWBY looked up at Nox, perched atop her head. Well, you're obviously flying type and anything else? Zubat looked down at her with a grin, lips pulling back a bit to emphasize his fangs. He worked his jaw for a second, then spat an only purple blob onto the dirt in front of RWBY, where it bubbled ominously for a few seconds. RWBY sat at the hissing triplet. Poison? At her side, Vice leaned away from the slightly nervous look. He is poisonous? Yang sat back, tilting her head back at us as she told. I wanna hear more about the type advantages and disadvantages. Like you said, water attacks are extra effective against ground type. No, they are super effective, Blake corrected. The book is pretty consistent about using that phrase. I get the feeling it's an official term. Yang waved it off and continued. I get that water can eventually wear rocks and stuff, but what exactly does that mean for fights? It's a little vague, the phone girl admitted. It just started the attacks with a type advantage has roughly twice as powerful effect compared to a normal or 4 times as effective when the advantage is held by the target. But I started slowly. I focused as her mind word. So they are actually using the actual game terms as well. Okay, I think I understand. Based on this, and what we discussed with Riley a few days ago, yes, I have a theory. She set up trade, repositioning Whisper on her lap. I kind of guessing here, but they don't know very much about Aura here, right? Just a small order of Aura Guardians. Seeing her teammates nod, she continued. And we saw that Pokemon use Aura-based attacks and give them elemental effects without dust. But because Aura isn't well understood or studied here, they don't get that. So maybe a Pokemon types are based on their Aura, and it's interestingly tied to an element the same way dust is. And it's the interactions of their Aura that causes their weaknesses and strengths. Now considering this, and where we are, Vice is gonna be super powerful in this area. Because she is basically a protagonist in Persona. She can switch elements. Unlike her friends. Well, her friends can use different type of ammunition as well, but for Blake it's much easier. Vice, not Blake. But I mean, yeah, Blake has shown that she has different kind of elemental attacks as well. And RWBY just used 3 of them, I think. I didn't see more. I saw the electric, the normal bullets, and the fire bullets. I think that's all I have seen from her. RWBY nodded contemplatively, now riding the bobbing motion without concern. Look how you called your dust evolution stones, didn't he? Blake, does your book say anything about those? Not so far, no. Darn! At the RWBY's head, Nox perked up. Let's create something. He swept out his perch and hovered before them, chattering away. Alright, Nox would know about this stuff. Vice raised her eyebrow as she stared at the hovering venomous giant bat. Ah, that's great, but I'm not up for a game of charades. They can't, but I can understand you. Vice paused and stared at Whisper, who was listening to Nox with rapt attention. Oh, I get it, they understand me because I'm a psychic, and you're not. Okay, I will tell them. Whisper turned and looked at the humans, and Phonos. Mr. Nox says, since he's not a psychic, he can tell you guys stuff, but I can, so I tell you what he says, okay? Vice bling, huh? Why didn't I think of that? RWBY also... When was that? If it's in the new season, that I don't know about it. I haven't watched the last season yet. The last volume. Oh yeah, wait. No. That was basically not her using the ice dust bullets. It was Vice using the glyphs with her shots. If you mean about that one. But they can use any kind of dust if they have enough, so... if they have the bullets. But I have a feeling that RWBY is the one who has the least amount of bullets ready. Because, well, her bullets are a little bit big to carry a lot of them. Vice uses pure dust powder. Blake has multiple clips with different kind of dust bullets in them. I don't think Yang has a lot of different kind of dust bullets though. So it's in the order. The most versatile is Vice and Blake, and the least versatile are RWBY and Yang, because they have to be a little bit careful about what they say. But Yang doesn't care, she just hits stuff. If something cannot be solved by fists, then it cannot be solved, right? Okay, so evolution stones are special rocks that some Pokemon use to evolve into the next form. Like that Growlithe back at the place where you got me. He was fun. He can turn into Arcanine unless he can't turn into Arcanine unless he gets a Firestone. Firestone. Blake interrupted with a shudder. A dog that has fire powers. Sounds like a nightmare. Vice carefully chose not to say anything about how Growlithe may or may not have melted away the ice around the thief's vehicle. Evolving into a new form? Wait, you mean... Vice widened. You mean like Golbat? Nox squeaked happily, and whispered unhesitated. He says, yep! Eventually, he gets strong enough, he will grow up into Golbat. And he also says he looks forward to having eyes. He's heard good things. You heard it plenty strong, Nox. RWBY assured. Eyes are pretty awesome, though. Anything we can do to help? Do you need one of those stones? Right. No, he just needs to keep getting stronger. It will happen eventually. He says it's the same for me too. I'm a bit so strong. Yang grinned broadly at Ross, before turning back to her partner. I'm still wrapping my head around some of those types. Fire and water and electricity, okay, grass, rock, alright, but bog? Fairy? Dragon? Seems weird. How are those elements? Yeah, and you only think rock and ground would be the same? Maybe water and ice? RWBY added. Blake shrugged, opening the book again. I don't have the answers for those questions, but the book just reads an obvious thing that it's always been the case, which I guess is true. The chapter I've just started about status conditions, lingering effects often associated with certain types. Poison, for example. It doesn't seem to be talking about just being poisoned, like we would think of it. The way it's described, it sounds more like it clings to the target's aura and erodes it away over time. The four shed looks before it gives it to Nox, the resident poison type. For his part, the bat could only shrug. What other condition does it discuss, Blake? Probably sleep. Vice asked, getting them back on task. Well, let's see. Burns are described similarly. It's not talking about the subject's flesh being burned. It's apparently like lingering flame that drains away vitality, like the auras being ignited, I guess. There's paralysis, which takes care to differentiate from actual nerve damage. Paralysis is associated with electric type attacks, but can also be inflicted by certain grass type moves, like Stomp Spore. And one of the officers this morning mentioned that the fifth criminal had been paralyzed by a ghost move. Blake ignored Yang's visible flinch and kept her suspicions about the attack's source to herself. Wait a moment. I just realized something. I was like that. Oh yeah, they can get a dog to tease Yang, to tease Blake. But no, they're gonna get a ghost to tease Yang. It's the other way around. Strong ice attacks can freeze the target solid. No surprise there. Confusion. I think that's what Soy Nox has been doing. And sleep apparently. Before you scoff, remember what the yellow tappy thing Vice described did? Yeah, it was even called a drowsy, Vice confirmed. It tried to do something to me and I almost fell asleep on the spot even though I was being threatened by a group of dogs. Yeah, this is pretty crazy, Yang said with a faint laugh. You're telling me that the Pokemon can weaponize sleep of all things? All things seem like a bit too much to take in for now, and we can't really test any of those theories right now, Vice said, shifting in whisper to a more comfortable position in her arms. First we should focus more on our next steps, and come back to this later. Makes sense. Okay everybody, let's figure out our options. RWBY said, going into team leader mode. I guess the most obvious plan would be going back to Golden Valley. The most obvious maybe, but not necessarily the best. Blake mused. We can cut across a few mountains worth of rough terrain, living there. I don't think trying that again is a good idea. It's almost given we would get lost again, and considering how far we would need to go if we follow the roads. Well, what else could we go? Maybe the other place where they are researching those Potter dealies? Yang leaned forward, resting her hands on her knees. Vice, any idea if we could catch a trip there on our budget? I have no idea what kind of prices are attached to long distance travel here yet, but I doubt it. Still, it's definitely something to look into. I don't know. I still kinda think we should try and get in contact with Golden Valley. There's gotta be some kind of response there by now, and maybe we could find someone in charge. That's a good point, RWBY, Vice said. We certainly have some credibility at least. Perhaps if we... The discussion carried on for a while, but mostly went in circles. As it continued though, both Snoke's and Blake's ears started twitching, though Blake's were still concealed under her bow. Blake stopped mid-sentence, turning towards the road leading from the forest towards the town. Does anyone else hear that? Before any of them could answer, the source of the noise became apparent. A little orange shape, no bigger than whisper, came bolting around the turn in the pass, emitting anguished high-pitched cries. Upon seeing the clearing it had suddenly reached, it stopped, wheeled around, as if seeking something, and cast a panicked look over its shoulder. A little orange shape. Now that it paused, the team could get a clear look. It was bright orange bird, vaguely chicken-like. It's a torch chick! I said Blaziken for Yang, right? Just over a foot tall, with tiny sharp wings. The primaries on its wings and crest atop its head were bright sunny yellow, like Whisper, and its head seemed almost absolutely big compared to the rest of it. Little Chicken seemed to come to a decision and bolted toward Team RWBY as fast as its little clawed feet would take it. It shrieked, "Torchic!" and drew onto the bench Yang and Blake sat on to hide in the bushes behind it. Whisper immediately translated. He says he is not here. I don't get it. Before any of the girls could react properly or try to puzzle it down, another figure burst around the corner. This one, a human teenager. Like Torchic, the guy stopped as soon as he entered the clearing. He had an enraged snarl on his face as he scanned the rest area, and his gaze fell on the group of girls and their Pokemon. Hey! He barked angrily. Where did that wiggling Torchic go? Yang took a second to survey the newcomer before answering. Pink shirt with the collar popped, a skirt, leather vest with fringe, oversized sunglasses resting on his forehead, presumably to help his head to see better or something. For a douche, this guy was Turbo Douche. Yeah, the bird went that way, Yang lied, pointing down the road towards town. The angry teen immediately charged in, indicating the direction without hesitation or word of thanks, and disappeared in a second. Oh, now I get it, Whisper said, staring down the path after him. She stood up, Torchic shivering in her hands. What the heck happened to? No, that can wait. Here, this will help. Yang focused Aurora into her semblance, and for a second a weak flame flashed over her. Before fading, she began radiating warmth, and Torchic found himself enveloped in a comforting heat that suited his ruffled feathers. The bird relaxed into the warmth, languidly pushing himself into Yang's embrace. The aching chill of water dripping from him was replaced with dry heat, and he immediately felt his cares slip away. He trod softly as he slipped into the half doors. Yang, that is stealing, You are now a part of Team Rocket. Unless it is, well, is it stealing it if it's not registered to Pokeball? They said in the beginning that they had to register a Pokemon to a Pokeball so they cannot be stolen. Right? Oddly enough, he does have the same color scheme as Yang and even the same eye color. Well, it's not that odd. Before I started, I don't know if you were here back then, but I literally said that yes, we know that Ruby has the Zubat and Vice has Whisper, the Ralts, and Blake is gonna get the Ghastly, who is actually just following them and helping them in his little teasing ways, and Yang might get a, let's say, a Blaziken. And surely enough, it's a Torchic. He says, "Hello, my name is Torchic and I already love you." Ah, Yang good. You're not so bad yourself. She resumed her seat on the bench, letting her semblance dry the little fellow off. Blake managed to catch Vice's eye as Ruby quietly squeezed over the birdie, relaxing in her sister's arms. And then verse 3? That verse 3, what? Does that mean that all three of the Pokemon are in her hands right now? Maybe. Vice smiles and slowly shook her head. That didn't take long at all, did it? Blake suddenly turned and looked back at the forest path, just before another person rounded the corner at the charge. "Hey!" she had. "Did the Torchic and the Jackass pass by here a moment ago?" The new arrival, who looked to be about 14 or 15, was wearing a somewhat worn sports jersey, so Pokemon resting in Yang's arms and sighed in relief. "Oh, thank goodness." The girl, Casey, sat with Ruby and the Pokemon at one of the picnic tables, the four listening incredulously as she explained what had happened. Oh, there's 3 Pokemon in the team now. I really thought that the other 2 saw how comfortable Torchic is and they jumped into her lap as well. So I accept Damien's challenge, no problem. I just scored Wooper last week and I wanted to give him some practice with him. And the pickup battle seemed like just what the doctor ordered. So I sent out water ground type, and what does the idiot do? He sends out a fire type. Don't get me wrong, Votachi put up a great fight, didn't give an inch to the whole time. But still, that's a double type advantage. And Torchic doesn't seem to know all that many moves yet, so he doesn't have a lot of options. Yeah, he just knows Scratch and Ember maybe, or Screech. Or Peck, maybe? Casey's frown deepened for a moment. Didn't help that the empty-handed idiot kept ordering him to use Ember. Seriously, how dumb can you get? Torchic grumbled something from his cozy position in Young's arms, ruffling his feathers angrily, but subsiding after the blonde gently ran fingers through his plumage. The only time Torchic actually managed to get a decent hit was when he ignored his orders and used Scratch to get around Wooper's type advantage. And then that unbelievable jackass yelled at him for it. The one good hit Torchic managed to land, and the idiot only cared about Torchic had ignored the one stupid command. Blake nodded, understanding dawning. So he decided enough was enough. Yup, Casey agreed, taking a sip from her can of soda. He had right back at the idiot, spat an ember at his dumb face, underpowered and the clean miss, of course. It was more like spitting on the ground in front of him and took off. Of course, Dumbas wasn't going to take that, so he started chasing Torchic. And by now, he's halfway to town. Yang cackled. Her fingers traced along the bird's head, just past his feathery crest, and he crooned in delight. Casey grinned cheerfully at the thought. I don't know what he thought he was going to do if he caught up. He would be lucky to still have eyebrows if she tried anything. Oh, I don't know about that. Well, Squib, did you see those eyebrows? It would be doing him a favor to clear that away. The girls laughed at the thought. The conversation drifted towards more pleasant topics. Casey, as it turned out, was a competitive battler, traveling the region and training Pokemon for combat tournaments. She was on her way to one of her favorite places to camp, planning to get a few days of training away from delicate things like buildings, when Torchic's former trainer had challenged her. So, are you guys battlers too? She asked. I already got all my gym badges, so I'm working to get ready for the next silver conference. Might try heading to a different region after that, though. I haven't decided which one. Well, we are sort of battlers, kinda, RWBY hedged. So, like a Pokemon contest. Ah, all that choreographed beauty pageant stuff always seemed kind of boring to me. What? No, I mean... We are beginners, Blake supplied, without even needing to lie. We're still getting into the whole thing. Oh, really? Casey looked like she was trying not to snicker. Getting a bit of a late start, aren't you? I've been like a trainer since I was 10. Most of the battlers I know started at the same age. Blake shrugged languidly. Didn't really have the interest before. Mostly because we didn't know Pokemon on their battles were a thing a few days ago. Seriously, what changed? Long story. Hey! Aaron whipped around at the angry shout. The guy from before came charging at the rest area. His face was red from either exhaustion or rage. Probably both. That's my Torchic! Get back here, little! He stomped forward, reaching for the bird. And then suddenly, he wasn't anymore. Yang was on her feet, standing taller than the trainer. And her hands was resting on his chest, resisting the attempt to step forward. He looked up at her face, and her blood-red eyes were narrowed at him. Yang was the team joker, the one who responded to trouble or hardship with a smile and laugh. She wasn't laughing now. As she smiled, it looked more like a predator displaying every single tool to the prey than any sort of friendly gesture. Nope. What do you mean, nope? Damien snarled. That Torchic is one of my Pokemon! Yang overly too, she smiled, didn't falter. She glanced down at the chicken tucked into the cook of her arm. Are you? The Torchic actually growled, a sound she didn't realize Bert could make. He then stuck out his tongue and blew a raspberry at the trainer, which was something else Yang didn't know Bert could do. Yang returned the predator grin to Damien. He says he is not. Personally, I trust the bird. Yeah, I think the bird gets to decide that, RWBY piped up. The bird has the last word, Blake intoned solemnly. Damien took an inward step back, but his pride wouldn't allow him to go any further. You can just... That's my... He shot a glare at Casey, who was watching the confrontation with no small amount of glee. You know that's my Torchic, you just battered him. I mean, yes, that is true. If it registered to a Pokeball, they can just steal it. Did I? Cause I know I battered the Torchic and he ran away after he had enough of his idiot trainer's abuse. Then I met these nice people who had the Torchic and I knew how to treat him right. Seems like a coincidence to me. Oh yeah? Then what about this? Damien produced a Pokeball from his butt and brandished it towards them. I have this Pokeball! Torchic, return! Crunch. Damien stared at the crumpled remains of the Pokeball in his hand, crushed to pieces by the simple experiment of Yang's reaching over and squeezing it. Steel, aluminum, and a few ceramic components, reduced to a pile of shards in less than a second by a one-handed grip. Well, now that is a serious offense. Not just stealing, but destroying property. He took another step back, then another. Finally, once he was certain he was out of grabbing range, his pride once more throttled down on his sense of self-preservation, and the fear left his face in favor of anger again. Fine, if you're so stuck on that weakling pile of feathers, you can deal with him. Well, now you gifted, Torchic. He pointed at Torchic dramatically. I had to go all the way to Horn to get that stupid bird, and he went and ran off like a coward the first time he was in battle. He is nothing but a waste of my time, so he's perfect for a weak trainer like Damien found himself unable to finish his insult, as he was suddenly focusing all his efforts on not peeing his pants. It had been taking one step forward, putting him back and grabbing range, and grabbed him. Damien's feet dangled inches above the grass. The collar of his shirt gripped in Yang's steel-shattering fist. It was frightening of all, though it was her smile. It was brighter than ever, and reminded him of nothing quite so much as Sharpedo. He had a close encounter with on his trip to Horn. So, weaklings, huh? You are right, you know? Weaklings are just the worst. And the worst ones of all are the ones who try to act too tough and refuse to accept what weaklings they are, am I right? So, how about you prove who the weakling is here? Yang unceremoniously dropped the nearly panicking trainer, who, not expecting it, fell straight into his butt. She stepped away a few paces, sat Torchic on the ground, and returned to the picnic table. Resuming her seat there, she smiled at the pair, gestured expressively, said, "Well, kick his ass!" Damien stared at her wide-eyed, then looked at Torchic, whose confusion was quickly giving way to unholy delight. Torchic's talon scraped the dirt. A few sparks floated from his beak. His pitch-black eyes gleamed in anticipation. Damien slowly started to reach for another Pokeball. But before he could pull it off his bat, there was a red blur, and RWBY doesn't have paced away, bat of Pokemons in hand. Nuh-uh, this is Mano Birdie. You don't wanna look like your Vim, do you? Damien swallowed fearfully, even as his pants, not lacking sufficient support, fell into a pile around his ankles. With a shriek he turned, and sprinted was the wrong word. He power shuffled away as fast as he could, stumbling and struggled to pull his pants up without breaking a stride. RWBY negligently tossed the bat and Pokeballs back to him as he passed, reasoning that any other Pokemon that wanted to leave the jerk would be able to easily Reasoning that any other Pokemon that wanted to leave the jerk would be able to, easily enough. That's it. That was a long sentence and I didn't see where to stop to get some air in. Damien quoted, but any plans to stop and put back on was scattered when a severely underpowered Ember caught him in the seat of his boxers. With another loud shriek, Damien proceeded to break the power shuffling speed record as he stumbled off into the distance, accompanied by the loud laughter of 5 girls and 3 Pokemon. Sure. With a loud shriek, Damien proceeded to break. Once Damien was out of sight and on the road into town, Torchic started erratically bouncing in place, thrilling with joy. He turned and easily hopped up onto the bench next to Yang. From there to the table, and leaned his head against her shoulder, coming as close as he could to a hug with his tiny little wings. Yang grinned, and the peasant smiled this time. picked up the bird gently. Why am I not surprised that Team RWBY once again breaks the law? After she managed to get her mess under control, Takeshy shot Yang an impressed look. Okay, that was awesome. Where did you even get the idea of making him fight? Hey, you see, once Colin the Doofus shooting his mouse off, you have seen them all. As soon as you make them put their money where his mouth is, they fall all to pieces. He wants to call this little guy a weakling. You better be able to beat him in a fight, or else what's that makes him? Well, sure, it's not like a human could seriously beat a Pokemon in fight. Why not? Yang asked. Casey stared at her like she had 3 heads. Because Pokemon are really good at fighting and humans can throw fireballs? Yang smiled at Casey. You are telling the girl who can throw fireballs. I guess you're right. My second place finish in the Golden Fist tournament a few days ago must have been a fluke. Casey sat back and folded her arms over her chest in an exaggerated motion, raising an eyebrow at the bold claim. I caught Taurus crap. Big sorry it didn't happen. Yang didn't flinch. RWBY? Beaming, Ruby produced her scroll and pulled up the folder full of pictures she had taken during their sisters' matches. Casey stared wide-eyed at the photos, too shocked to even ask about the weird phone they were being displayed on. Yang punching the Machoke in the middle of an arena. Yang grappling a pirate that looked to be in the throes of epic rage. And the downhand hilarious fun Yang apparently on fire, no less, trying to punch a Lucario and missing with a look of utter shock on her face. There were over a dozen pictures in all, the last showing the blonde on the stage, except in second place prize. Torchic had gotten up to Yang's arms and peered at the pictures over Casey's shoulder, and now he was looking up the human with awe in his eyes. The little bird jumped around the table in excitement, chirping happily. Casey shook her head slowly, then looked at the bird. Yeah, what he said. The younger girl handed RWBY's scroll back to her absently, deep in thought. So, you 4 are just starting out as trainers, right? That's right, Rice confirmed. My spirit only hatched earlier this morning, and Nox decided to follow RWBY just a few days ago. And now, I suppose Torchic wants to come along? The bird chirruped in agreement, head butt hugging Yang again. Right, Blake doesn't have a companion though. Blake mumbled non-committally, reflectively scanning the edge of the forest. She's not sure about that. Well, Casey said slowly, if you like, I could show you the ropes. I mean, I've been doing pretty well for myself as a trainer for the last few years, and there are plenty of things I wish someone had told me about when I was getting started. She coughed, eyes getting a bit shifty. And I sure wouldn't mind learning a few things from you. Yang cooed. Does somebody want the badass lessons? Because Professor Yang is always ready to offer courses at the School of Hard Knocks. Rice caught RWBY and Blake's eyes, before smiling down at the rods in her lap again. I think we could stand to learn a few things. You do realize that it took years for us to reach the level we are at though, right? Yeah, of course. I wouldn't expect to square off against Machoke after a week of... Wait, me? You mean you all can fight like that? RWBY, Vice, Blake and Yang all smiled at the younger girl. She grinned back. This is going to be amazing! At the RWBY's head, Zeba snickered into his thing. Hey D, you don't know the half of it. He looked down at Torchic, grinning broadly. And neither do you. Think you are up to rolling with the craziest group of humans ever? Torchic smiled back up at him, despite having a beak. Sound like I finally come home. That's gonna be Torchic's little voice right there. Alright then, Casey shouted, jumping to her feet and arcing her empty soda can into a distant trash can. Let's get moving. The Lake of Rage awaits. Are they gonna meet Kyogre? What's up, Gramps? Do you finally have a lead? I do, as a matter of fact. Get up Tracy and Riley, and get to Exeter as soon as you can. Lance just received police report from there about a group of Team Rocket operatives who were defeated by a young woman with the white hair, and they claim she used attacks like Pokemon, as well as a sword. Okay, so Gary and the team is coming here. Do you understand your mission? I don't know who is talking. Yes, sir! Locate and punish the foolish girl! Oh, it's Team Rocket. Who thought he could interrupt one of Team's operations? We will make an example of her, boss! Don't worry! Any Pokemon she's got, fight behind it. Good. Failure will not be tolerated. Go! It's Team Rocket, so it has to be Giovanni. In the depths of the cave, somewhere in Johto's mountains, the only light was that caused by the glowing portal hovering above the stone floor. The faint rainbow glow was feeble in the darkness of the cavern, but it was sufficient for those present. Trian stood before Grandor, craning his neck to look up at the tightening Beowulf. He smiled, and if any children had been present, they would have been more likely to cry at that than at the monster. Well, he asked, spreading his arms wide. Aren't you going to welcome me into this new world? Well, this is the trouble. This is trouble. This is a big trouble. If Trian is here, we saw that last time that he had been sent here. And this is another portal that has been opened since Grandor came here with the army. Alright. Young having Torchic is not a surprise. And Blake knows that she's being followed by the Ghastly. I guess they all got one Pokemon now. It's Punch and Touch. I don't know if it's Touch or not. I just said something. I don't know. But yeah. Oh wait, we are already live for an hour. Let's see. It's 9:30. Yeah, I'm not gonna do another chapter because I need to work in X hours. I'm not gonna say how long, but I will work in the afternoon. And I would rather just lay back and rest a little bit before doing that. And tomorrow at the same time we are gonna get to the next chapter, which is gonna be a lot longer, not just a little bit. It's gonna be, let's see. Oops, not that. I wanted this button. It's gonna be 8.1k words, that's fine. 16-17 might be a double chapter because that's both of them are 6k words. But yeah, it was a nice chapter. It was just young appreciating getting the Torchic and the team learning about the different types. It makes sense. And Rod's having a sword. I mean, they could definitely get a blacksmith. There are still blacksmiths in the Pokemon area, right? In the Pokemon region, especially maybe in Alolan. I don't know what's happening in Alola because I have not been there in the Pokemon games. As I said, Black 2 was the last one that I played. I don't know where the what is it called? It's not Cassette. But where the game is, it's somewhere in my closet is. But my DS is still here. It's barely working. because it is from Ireland and it has a different kind of plug. I don't know why they did it, but the plug in this one is something that you cannot get in Hungary at all. You can reorder to make a new one for it, or maybe someone who has a used one, you can buy it from them, but they don't make it anymore. And either the new one or the old ones don't fit into this one. I don't know why they did it, but it's annoying. So at one point I will have to buy a new code for this one so I can charge it. Well, it's still working, so I'm happy about it. I still have my games right outside. Sometimes it's good to go back to nostalgia, right? And now I actually wanna have a feel to go back to this. I mean, I don't have a Switch, so I cannot play the new Pokemon games. But I wanted to buy one. They were unavailable because because of that thing that we don't talk about in YouTube. That happened all around the world. Because people couldn't get out and everyone wanted to buy a Switch. And no one had one. Because it was unavailable, it was out on the shelves, just like the toilet paper and stuff. So yeah, I still don't have a Switch, and I probably will never have, because it's still not cheap, and by the time I got money to buy one, it will run out of fashion, and they will not make new games for it. Or who knows, because the new game is coming out in the next year, or at the end of this year, right? But we will see how about that. But I really kind of feel like I want to play Pokemon again because of this. And I see the title for the next one. Make a man out of you. I like the pun. I like the pun of that. But yeah, tomorrow at the same time we will come back and continue with the Mulan reference. It's gonna be a training montage. But yeah, I'm gonna leave. Thank you for being here, and see you next time. Bye bye.